dive into the chilling, spine-tingling tales that'll keep you up at night? Make sure to subscribe for your daily dose of fear. And don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment about your favorite part of today's story. Want even more exclusive scares? Join our membership for members-only live streams and stories you won't find anywhere else. Your next nightmare awaits. Let's get into it. During a seemingly ordinary house viewing, a young girl named Emily accompanied her parents as they explored a charming old home that had just come onto the market. At first glance, the house appeared inviting, with its quaint architecture and well-kept garden. The owner, an elderly woman with a warm smile, greeted them at the door, her demeanor exuding a sense of hospitality that put Emily at ease. However, as they moved through the rooms, the atmosphere began to shift. The owner's smile faded, replaced by a distant look in her eyes, as if she were recalling something unsettling. Emily noticed the change, a subtle yet palpable shift that sent a shiver down her spine. The once welcoming aura of the home transformed into something heavy and foreboding, casting a shadow over the cheerful decor. As they ventured deeper into the house, Emily felt an inexplicable sense of dread creeping in. The air grew thick and the cheerful chatter of her parents faded into the background. She could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears, a stark contrast to the silence that enveloped the rooms. Each step felt like a journey into the unknown, and the walls seemed to close in around her. The owner's eyes darted nervously, and Emily caught glimpses of unease etched on her face, as if she were guarding a dark secret. The girl's instincts screamed that something was amiss, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching, waiting, and whispering its hidden stories. After they moved in, the unsettling feelings only intensified. Emily's nights were plagued by strange occurrences that shattered the illusion of safety. It began with soft whispers echoing through the hallways, barely audible yet undeniably present. She would wake in the middle of the night, heart racing, convinced she heard someone calling her name. Shadows danced along the walls, flickering just out of sight, and the feeling of being watched became a constant companion. Her parents dismissed her fears, attributing them to the stress of moving. But Emily knew what she felt was real. The house had a pulse, a rhythm that thrummed beneath the surface. And it was one evening, as she sat alone in her room, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The temperature dropped, and a chilling breeze swept through the space, causing the curtains to flutter ominously. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she noticed a figure standing at the foot of her bed, shrouded in darkness. It was a fleeting glimpse, but the image was burned into her memory. A shadowy silhouette that seemed to dissolve into the walls. Panic surged through her, and she bolted from her room, seeking refuge in her parents' bedroom. But when she reached them, they were fast asleep, oblivious to the terror that had unfolded just moments before. As days turned into weeks, the unsettling events escalated. Doors would creak open on their own, and objects would inexplicably move from one place to another. Emily felt trapped in a nightmare, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the oppressive atmosphere of the house. The owner's initial warmth now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the chilling reality of their new home. The girl's fear grew, intertwining with the very fabric of the house, leaving her to wonder if they had unwittingly stepped into a realm where the past lingered, refusing to let go. After moving into their new home, Sarah and Mark were excited to start this new chapter of their lives. The house, with its charming features and spacious layout, seemed perfect for them. However, it didn't take long for the couple to notice that something was off. The first strange occurrence happened just a few days after they settled in. They would be sitting in the living room enjoying a movie when suddenly the lights would flicker and then turn off completely. At first, they thought it was a simple electrical issue, but as the days went by, the lights began to turn off, more frequently and without warning. Each time it happened, they exchanged confused glances, trying to rationalize the bizarre phenomenon. They checked the circuit breakers and even called an electrician, but everything seemed to be in working order. The mystery deepened, leaving them feeling uneasy in their own home. As the strange occurrences continued, their two dogs, Bella and Max, began to exhibit odd behavior. The couple noticed that the dogs would often stare intently at the laundry room door, their bodies tense and alert. It was as if they sensed something that Sarah and Mark could not. The dogs would bark and whine, scratching at the door as if trying to get to whatever was on the other side. This behavior was unusual for them, as the laundry room was typically a place of comfort where they would often play. The couple tried to reassure their pets, but the dogs remained fixated on the door, their instincts seemingly warning them of an unseen presence. Sarah and Mark exchanged worried glances, feeling a growing sense of dread as they wondered what could be causing their beloved pets to act so strangely. The laundry room itself became a source of increasing concern. The door, which had always been easy to open, suddenly seemed to lock itself. On several occasions, Sarah would go to do laundry, only to find the door inexplicably shut tight. She would tug on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Mark would come to help, but even his strength couldn't pry it open. It was as if something was holding it shut from the inside. They tried to dismiss it as a simple mechanical issue, but the timing felt too coincidental. The couple began to feel as though they were being watched, as if the house itself was aware of their every move. The combination of the flickering lights, the dog's strange behavior, and the locked laundry room door created an atmosphere thick with tension and uncertainty. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah and Mark's initial excitement about their new home began to fade, replaced by a growing fear that gnawed at them. They found themselves jumping at every little sound, their hearts racing at the slightest creak of the floorboards. Conversations that once revolved around decorating and settling in shifted to discussions about what could be causing the strange happenings. They began to question their decision to move in, wondering if they had unknowingly stepped into a place that held secrets better left undiscovered. The couple felt trapped in a cycle of confusion and anxiety, unsure of what to believe or how to make sense of their increasingly unsettling living situation. Each night, as they lay in bed, the darkness felt heavier, and the shadows seemed to whisper secrets that only the house could understand, leaving them to wonder if they would ever feel truly at home again. In a quaint house nestled in the serene landscape of upstate New York, the Thompson family settled into what they hoped would be their dream home. The picturesque surroundings and the charm of the old structure initially captivated them, but it wasn't long before they began to experience unsettling occurrences that would forever change their perception of the place. It started with the eerie sound of footsteps echoing through the hallways at night. She frowned as she walked around the treehouse in the dark, and then heard the footsteps climb the stairs, heard the hallways rolling open and close at Lightfoot Swith's footsteps. It started with the eerie sound of footsteps echoing through the hallways at night. At first, they dismissed it as the house settling or the creaks of an old building, but as the nights wore on, the footsteps became more pronounced and deliberate. They would hear the distinct sound of someone walking, the soft thud of footsteps moving from room to room, often accompanied by a chilling silence that followed. The family members would exchange nervous glances, their hearts racing as they tried to rationalize the inexplicable sounds. Okay. Adding to the unsettling atmosphere was the disembodied voice of an old woman that seemed to drift through the air, often calling out softly in the dead of night. It was a voice that resonated with warmth, yet carried an eerie quality that sent shivers down their spines. The children, initially curious, soon found themselves terrified, unable to sleep as they lay in bed, listening to the whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. The parents, too, felt the weight of fear pressing down on them, struggling to maintain a sense of normalcy in the face of such strange occurrences. The emotional impact of these experiences began to take its toll on the family. The once vibrant laughter that filled the house was replaced by an uneasy silence, and the children's playful spirits dimmed. As they became increasingly anxious about what lurked in the shadows, family dinners, once a time for bonding, turned into hushed conversations, filled with apprehension. As they shared their experiences, each story adding to the growing sense of dread. As the family grappled with the unsettling events, they began to speculate about the presence that seemed to inhabit their home. They wondered if it could be the spirit of a deceased relative, perhaps a grandmother or great-aunt who had once lived in the house. The children recalled stories of their great-grandmother, a kind woman who had a deep connection to the family, often sharing tales of her life and the love she had for them. They pondered whether her spirit had lingered, watching over them in a way that was both comforting and disconcerting. The parents, while skeptical, couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to the strange happenings. They began to research the history of the house, uncovering stories of past residents and the lives they had led. Each revelation added layers to their understanding of the home, but it also deepened their unease. The family's speculation about the old woman's voice and the footsteps became a topic of both fear and fascination. They found themselves drawn to the idea that perhaps the spirit meant no harm, that it was simply a lingering presence tied to the home they now occupied. Yet, the emotional toll of living in a house filled with such uncertainty weighed heavily on them. They longed for the comfort of a peaceful night's sleep, free from the echoes of footsteps and whispers that haunted their dreams. As they navigated the complexities of their experiences, the Thompsons found themselves at a crossroads, torn between the desire to embrace their new home and the fear of what might be lurking just beyond their perception. The house, once a symbol of hope and new beginnings, had transformed into a realm of mystery, leaving them to wonder if they would ever truly feel at home again. On a seemingly ordinary Saturday afternoon, 12-year-old Jake found himself home alone for the first time. His parents had gone out for a quick errand, leaving him with a list of chores and the promise of a video game marathon once he finished. Initially, he felt a rush of excitement at the newfound freedom, but the hum of the refrigerator and the distant chirping of birds outside were the only sounds breaking the stillness. Just as Jake settled into his favorite game, he was jolted from his focus by an unexpected noise, the unmistakable sound of the front door creaking open and then slamming shut. His heart raced as he paused the game, straining to listen. The house was supposed to be empty, and the sudden intrusion sent a wave of dread washing over him. "Gavin!" Jake's mind raced with possibilities. Had his parents returned early? He glanced at the clock, noting that they wouldn't be back for at least another hour. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as he considered the alternative. Someone had entered the house. He felt a chill run down his spine, and his instincts kicked in. He quietly crept toward the hallway, peering around the corner toward the front door, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Sweet. The living room was still, and the only movement came from the shadows cast by the afternoon sun filtering through the curtains. Yet, the fear that gripped him was palpable, tightening his chest and making it hard to breathe. He could feel his heart pounding in his ears, each beat echoing the growing sense of... As the minutes dragged on, Jake's fear escalated. Every creak of the floorboards felt amplified, and he imagined the worst, an intruder lurking just out of sight. He quickly made his way back to the living room, his mind racing with thoughts of what to do. Should he hide? Should he confront whoever was in the house? The uncertainty was paralyzing. Finally, he made the decision that felt most prudent. He would call 911. With trembling hands, he grabbed his phone and dialed the emergency number, his voice barely above a whisper as he explained the situation to the operator. "I think someone is in my house," he stammered, trying to keep his voice steady. The operator assured him that help was on the way, but as he hung up, Jake felt a wave of vulnerability wash over him. He was alone, and the reality of his situation began to sink in. The last scene. Within minutes, he heard the unmistakable sound of sirens approaching, a mix of relief and fear flooding through him. When the police arrived, they moved swiftly, their presence a comforting sight amidst the chaos of his thoughts. They searched the house methodically, checking each room and closet, their flashlights cutting through the shadows. Jake watched anxiously from the living room, his heart racing as they called out to one another, ensuring everything was clear. After what felt like an eternity, one of the officers approached him, a serious expression on his face. "We didn't find anyone inside, but we did notice something strange," he said, his tone grave. "The back door was unlocked, and it looks like it had been opened recently." The unsettling nature of the incident hit Jake like a ton of bricks. The realization that someone could have entered his home, even if they were gone now, sent chills down his spine. The officers reassured him that they would increase patrols in the area and advised him to keep the doors locked at all times. As they left, Jake felt a mix of relief and lingering fear. The house that had once felt like a safe haven now seemed like a place filled with shadows and uncertainty. He sat on the couch, the weight of the experience settling heavily on his shoulders, knowing that the innocence of being home alone had been forever altered by the frightening encounter. If you enjoyed this exploration of unsettling experiences and want to hear more captivating stories, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. By liking and sharing this video, you help us reach a wider audience and continue to create content that delves into the mysteries of the unknown. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to bringing you more intriguing tales that spark curiosity and reflection. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the eerie and the unexplained, and we can't wait to share more with you in our next video. Stay curious and remember to keep your eyes open for the unexpected.